Hello and welcome, my name is Nilaus. This is episode or recap of stream day 25 of Factorio space exploration. So this space exploration day was actually a bit all over the place now, especially when I'm coming back to this to do a recap, and it does strike me as there's something missing here. So the first thing we did on our jump out was actually going to orbit. So let's jump into orbit to have a look at what we did there. So as you can see, if you remember, it used to be a small base like this, so it has been expanded with about 21,000, maybe minus this. Okay, so this is 15,000 additional space scaffolding going up here. So the base is actually currently have lots of space and nothing to do. So at this point we got pretty much stuck, to be perfectly honest, and that we spent quite a bit of time on the theory crafting side. So let me recap that for you, and I think I'll do that by using, and this is why I've added this Factorio NEI, or as people like to make fun of me when I say FNAI. So that's what we're gonna do. I don't know what that was supposed to do, so let's use that. Generally, what I did was I started out by just figuring out what kind of things I needed. And then I found out that I needed some of these thermal radiators. But by the time I had crafted these, I found out that I was missing a lot of things. So I found out that I have forgotten to bring glass. I did not have any space loaders. I forgot to bring roboports. I don't have stone bricks. And then I need one more spare space lab, the one that's blinking, and then another landing pad so I could control what things are landing here, because this, get off the map view, this thing here actually has a name, science landing pad, and I actually should have two different landing pads. So basically the essence of what I found out is the first thing I need to do is to be able to craft all the material or all the machines I need, and that's what I did here. So we went into well, there are, all right, one step back. There are 20 machines here that are relevant to space. Only a few of them. That one, the space assembling machine, the space manufacturing, and the recycling center can be built on the ground. Also actually space line. So there are 18 machines here that can only be built in space. That means I need to even start bringing materials to this. So for example, if I need accumulators, then I need accumulators for a spectrometry facility, or a telescope, or a thermodynamics laboratory. Right, so there's a lot of things that I need to figure out, but I don't know which ones are needed. So the first thing I did, let's go back to Novice, because we're going to be spending the time in here to take a look at it. And no, we're going to start by looking at it in Science Pack. So what we worked towards last time, or sort of what our aim was, to say, hey, we'll research this stuff towards the spaceship. That means astronomics, energy, and material science pack. Those are the first three, I don't know, maybe first three of the space sciences. Yes, well, it could also be the biological, but we have kind of for now left that out because that's not part of the building a spaceship. So the first thing I was doing was trying to figure out which one is most appropriate, and based on the recipe, this is where I'll go up here, science pack, that one. So based on these, I felt, well, okay, so this one requires the material insight. The material insight requires, oh, that's funny. Oh, right, requires the material catalog. Okay, there's some interesting things here that we don't have yet. We only have this one, the material catalog. So we do the material catalog, and that's how I went down this path here to saying that one. All right, so I need some cold thermodynamic. Okay. And that comes from material testing and thermofluid. That one is a basic component. And that one is something we need for all of it. So we need the thermofluid. All right, so this is not so bad. Next one, need some plasma. Okay, chemical gel, that's a bit of this. That's not so bad. Tensile, strength, and then the rest is easy, not so bad. Comprehensive concrete, this is the one that, because of our science pack, is a bit tricky. And heat shielding, not so bad, and plasma that we already need instead. So I decided this would probably be a good thing. So what I did was I walked through all of these and found out what are the kind of things where they need to be built at, like here. So that's the thermodynamic lab. That is a mechanical lab. That's a mechanical lab. That's a mechanical lab. This one is a hypercooler. And this one is a laser lab. I mean, just things, right? I don't think that's actually the one. I think it's more like this one. That one. The radiator. So those were basically the way I'm doing it. But there was one thing I was missing. Let's see if we can get it. Here, the significant data. This is the one thing that I did not consider, that only sort of became evident during my sort of navigation of this. Why is this bar here? Oh, that's a really weird way of doing it. Let's walk back. So each of these science pack, also if we go further back as well, this one requires significant data. You can get the significant data however you like, but it requires 36 packs for 2. So it's 18 packs for 1, 18 packs for 1, 18 packs for 1. And therefore it's not a good idea to start with the material science, because the only way that if I build the material science, the only way to get significant data is through the burning of a monstrous amount of concrete. Not a great idea. Therefore, even though that was what I was looking for, I'm going to change my mind and go back to either the energy or the astronomics. I think it's going to be the astronomics, for the simple reason that astronomics give us the energy. Energy gives us access to beacons, which would help us generally, and also bot speed. That would also be nice. What is this? Solar panels, also a very nice thing. How good are those solar panels? 400 kilowatts. Versus 60. Yeah, they're pretty good. So yeah, that's going to be the energy. Now, that means what I need to do here is to figure out what machines are needed in order to build the energy science pack, figure out what ingredients I need, and that's what I did here, though that was for the material science pack. I think it's going to be pretty much the same. Now, the one thing that we did is, yeah, so I brought it up on one, right, so see all the things, and then I broke it down into ingredients, because I'm not going to build like tanks, space tanks, or gun turrets bringing those to space as completed. I might as well build them in space. Now this is where it gets interesting, because when you look at this, you're basically seeing that it's heavy oil, light oil, lubricant, and stone and concrete, and basically every single basic material is needed. Funny enough, not green circuits. They probably needed for something, but it was kind of weird that there were no green circuits needed for anything. What's the goal? So that was actually a really a strange observation, but that means we basically need to start looking at the next. Whoa! Look at those. They out of power? Damn, that's not good. Yeah, I can do that. I could basically take from, so you can take, I can take it out and put him into one of those boxes. Once it gets into those boxes, it can redo this, because now they will actually start breaking. Oops. Well, so we didn't get as far on Novice, but what I really need is now coming back on orbit. Now we come back to Novice, and that's where we did some work here. So a lot of theory crafting. What this means is we basically need to build rocket facilities at every single one of these main locations. So at red ones, we need to bring out again to a rocket facility so we can fire off a rocket with red science or something to that effect. It's going to be really weird. We have to find out that. But we did have other issues at the moment. So let's have a look at what else we built. And that thing down here is, oops, one of the things we built. Let's run this one down here. Oh, do you really think? Okay, so while we drive, I found out another issue that sometimes happens, sometimes as in always. This truck has a tendency to get run over by trains. The other one gets pushed aside, but this one sometimes gets completely demolished by trains. And then our main coal supply actually stops, and that means our main supply of fuel stops, and that's probably not a great idea. So this is what we built. We have started going away from the smelting in the normal ones and actually using beacons, so at least we get 8% productivity. It's something, it's not a lot, but it just hooking this one up has completely solved all of our stone issues. That was a pretty simple thing to do, surprisingly. Well, not actually surprisingly. And the other thing we were absolutely run out of was the oil, so we had to as well get the oil running. Oh, we can actually get up there. So that was basically the plastic was not working. How is this one? This is now 60,000 plastic are just on hold. Very nice to see. I might even just kill those just to fill this up. And that means we are pretty much good to go on all the... Ooh, that was so close. Good thing we didn't get rocked by that. Now what is that one? That's actually a bit concerning. Yep, low density structures. We can actually look at that, which is our biggest problem. The easiest thing is just to go over to this list. Well, actually, let's go to somewhere where we can see it, like this. Electronic circuits. That's just because they're too slow. Seriously? Space scaffolding. Space scaffolding is because of low density. Low density, I bet you that is because of copper. Yep, we are out of copper. And that's pretty crazy, right? Because we had pretty good copper supplies. Where were they? They were here. This one was a good copper supply, but it certainly isn't a good copper supply anymore. It was 6.9 and it's gone now. We also had down here 3.7, and that's down to it's half, but it just can't get it in. And obviously this is a disaster, but it's still definitely not enough to keep working, and you can see how small this is. So we're gonna need to tap this 28 or this 19. That's gonna be some of the things we need to do next time. But the big thing we built is actually this oil deposit. This is simply taking crude oil in here. Oh, I'm burning. That would be embarrassing. I think crude oil in, and then it's just processing it in 26 plants and converting. These are built to ratio to the best of my knowledge and our collective calculation, and feeding back in here just a ton of petroleum ready to go. Also go to space. So that's basically all the things that we solved in the base, because a lot of the time was spent trying to debug or trying to figure out what to do in space. So basically, next objective is, first and foremost, we need to get the copper back up to speed to a high degree. And once that's done, we need to find a way to get materials consistently from Nauvis to orbit in a way that I can control it. Because we found this feature, this one. This one is a signal transmitter. I don't know why it's flickering about. It's just shooting in random places. Basically, you put a signal in, 777 fish, put it in. Then it goes on a channel. I just call the channel test. And this is where things get a bit wonky about how they work. Then I go to this location. Might as well drive back, even though everything we did could be done from the map view. Here we go. This one will be the way we control it. So this one, because it is on signal test, they match up. So each one of these can sort of carry one signal. It doesn't use as much power as it uses space, but that's fine. And therefore we can say here, for example, this could tell us how much steel is needed in space. Well, if we know how much steel is needed in space, then when it drops below a certain threshold, we could commit a rocket full of steel to go to space, and we could then in space at this location figure out what the hell we're going to do about it. I mean, just either put it into some storage or put it in a bus or whatever we want to do it. And that's basically going to be the sort of one of the big logistical challenges we're going to do next time, to build some kind of automated way to transport the 13 different items we need in space, to transport them in an efficient way to space. And on top of that, all the science. So the science as well is probably also going to be figured out. The science is ready to go, and we can just send it there, but we don't really have a lot of things to research. So the way I look at it, I think that our science is going to be idle almost like 99% of the time, because we're going to spend, or I don't know, they're going to be idle for the next very long time, because we need to focus on the space science, and it's going to take one hell of a long time. And by the time we get, let's say, energy science, right? We just go with energy science pack, this one, that will only open up to, well, this one is 10k, that's at least something, but we only have these things to do. And you know, see, 10, right? That's nothing. It's 10, so it's not really many packs that we need to do this. And 150, so to match this, it's 75. It's totally nothing compared to the 8,000 we have of everything available. So this is the only one, the mining productivity, that would be of any sort of significance. But as you can see, then when we build the energy science pack and get that rolling, then we might need just the 8,000 we have or something. So I think the science from these are so, the gummy bears, they're so funny. The science we have waiting here is going to last us a very, very long time, because there's nothing to spend it on. So we have definitely plans ahead of us in order to automate many launch facilities. That's going to take quite a bit of concrete, to be honest. We do have some, but we are going to need a lot to build like common launch facilities. I think I'm going to build like several of these locations, like out here, I don't know, maybe up here or something. Several launch facilities where you just get stuff in, and then we can launch from there. I don't know, but we're going to figure out how it's going to work. So with that, thank you very much for joining. Remember, if you want to take the whole VOD, there are some finer details in this. You can. There is a link in the description below. You can check that out. And also, if you want to, on Twitch, I'll be back with more streaming of the space pretty regularly, 3 times a week at least. And I hope to see you in Twitch chat there as well. Thank you very much for joining. As always, stay effective.